Have you ever asked yourself, what is the one thing that business owners lack when it comes to building a sustainable business and growing that business? We've spoken about things like margins, product market fit, and having a really good distribution channel and really good marketing. But what is the one thing? The one thing that if you tick all the other boxes, that if you don't hit this one thing on the head, that nail on the head, then everything else crumbles apart. What is the glue that holds everything together? Now, I just want to say that if you do enjoy business and marketing content, then I really believe this is the channel for you. And if you enjoy maybe the way I share information and articulate these things, and it resonates with you in any way, then please consider liking and subscribing, because it gives me some form of validation to know whether I should be doing more of this or not. I think maybe even hit the notification bell if you want to be notified about more videos like this. But getting back to the video, today I want to talk a little bit about that one thing, that glue that holds everything together. And in theory, there's a lot of boxes you need to tick, right? If you think about it, and we speak about this all the time, you need product market fit. You need it. If without it, it's going to be so hard to try and get revenue in, because you're going to be flogging a dead horse. After that, you need margins. You need really good margins. If you don't have margins, you're not going to be able to make profit, and profit is truly what covers the bills and allows you to grow as well, hire more people, etc. Thirdly, you need distribution. Now, distribution can be online or it can be in retail, ideally both if you can. But without a distribution channel, you're not going to have access to the market. So you need product market fit, you need profitability, and then you need access to the market. And then lastly, in order to make sure that these access points actually convert, you need a really good marketing strategy. So those are the 4 key things I'd say that you need in order to succeed in any business. But now what becomes more interesting is that there's still one piece missing. And if you don't tick that or achieve that one goal or understand this and focus on it as a business owner, everything else falls apart. Can you guess what that is? Can you? Personal growth. Guys, personal growth is just so crucial if you want to be a business owner, because the business success that you have now or will directly correlate with the amount of skills and knowledge that you have. And here's what I mean by that. If this is you, and on a bar chart, that is your skills and knowledge, then guess what? The business that you'll be able to build will match that. And it won't go any further. Why? Because you don't have the business skills or the business knowledge in order to take it further. Hello? It's really that simple. So if you are someone who loves doing art, and you're an artist, and you're painting, and you sell like 1 or 2 paintings a month, and you make your, let's say 30 to 100 grand or whatever, great. That means that the skills and knowledge that you have will technically keep you where you are. If you wanted to build an art business where you can produce more paintings and you jump up that revenue to 500K a month or whatever, you're going to have to start building a business. Because at some point, that 50K business or 100K a month business, that is technically just a passion project. If you want to turn it into a business, guess what? You will have to become a business owner, and you will have to start acting like one. You'll have to go through the metamorphosis of turning from a caterpillar into a butterfly. Like the caterpillar, so you can choose whether you want to stay a caterpillar or not, obviously, but that means your business is only going to remain there. But when you go through the metamorphosis of becoming a business owner, you increase your skills and your knowledge, and guess what? The same thing will happen. You will then have the skills and the knowledge in order to build a better business and sustain the growth of that business profitably, hopefully. And this is the same thing that happened to me in 2020. Like we went from, we did 1.5 million a year in our first year, then we did 3 million the next year, and in 2020 we did the exact same amount of revenue. And I just hit depression. Like you can call it COVID and everything else, like, it's okay, it was COVID. I was just like, no thank you. I refuse to make excuses. Like I will not spend another 12 months in the same position. Because that's my biggest fear as a business owner, is to be exactly where I am now 12 months from now. That is my biggest fear. Like if I had to wake up 12 months from now and be in the exact same position, everything has to be exact same size in terms of revenue and profit and knowledge and skills and experience and everything else, I dread that. I'm scared of that. Therefore, I have the ambition to keep learning and keep growing. So with that said, in 2020, November, I bought my first mentorship program and it cost me $10,000. That was equivalent of literally 150,000 Rand. I basically spent 50% of our profit that we made, or 30% of the profit, whatever we made, a huge chunk of our profit, for the whole year on mentorship. And guess what? In 2021, my knowledge base and skills base did this. And the business went from, this was in 2021, we went from 3 million to 9 million in 1 year. All thanks to the fact that I focused on my own personal growth. So, in theory, what we need to understand is that we need to become business owners. We need to gain the necessary knowledge and skills on how to run our businesses better. And if we don't, we're going to get stuck. All right. So now the question becomes, if you want to be a business owner, what are the core skills that you need in order to really run a business successfully? We have spoken about, you need product market fit, you need good margins, you need distribution, and then you need a good marketing strategy. But all of that, what is all of that going to do? All of those four things, if we go back to the screen over here, all of these four things, what are those going to do? It's going to help you generate revenue. Right? And revenue is great. That's awesome. But my friends, that is not a successful business. A successful business is not about generating revenue. A successful business is basically about generating profit. That is what you ideally are. Everybody's after at the end of the day when it comes to generating a business. And I have this quote that says, revenue gets you on the magazines, but only profit buys the yachts. You're only going to be able to buy all of these fancy luxury things that you don't really need with profit. Not that you should do that. Ideally, hopefully you're a bit smarter than that. But the motto and just the quote in itself indicates that revenue doesn't mean anything. Okay, it might make you feel good, and it might make you look impressive to your mates. But at the end of the day, you're still going to have to pay your bills, and you still ideally want to build up some form of security, and you want to grow, and you want to make the business valuable so it's actually sellable. Because this is the problem with most business owners, they build prisons as opposed to assets. Every single business owner that's the age of between 50 and 60 think that they've spent their life building an asset. And then an investor comes along or someone who wants to buy the company and they undervalue the company, and then they realize all along that they've been actually building a prison. Because it's now a prison because you can't sell it because it's not valuable. Nobody wants it. Therefore, you're going to keep working till you're 75 because what else are you going to do? And that just becomes this prison. So ideally, you need to focus on building something that's valuable, that's an asset, and the only way to do that is to make profit. So at the end of the day, what is profit? It's revenue, essentially, minus expenses. Okay. So what are the core skills that a business owner then needs to learn in order to ensure that they can actually create a profitable business? Is how to manage your expenses, how to actually manage the business to ensure that you make a profit. And this is what we call operating the business. Because essentially, if you know how to operate the business, or you have someone that can help you operate the business, and you have a good understanding of how to operate a business, you will always ensure that your expenses are in check. If you don't know how to operate a business, your expenses will start to bloat, and your profit will disappear, you will go backwards, and you will be in debt, and you will be most likely closing your doors. And we've seen that many times. We had business owners come to us that's been a year in business, and especially during the COVID boom in 2021, a lot of these businesses came to us. We're doing 100K a month, we're doing 200K a month, we want to scale, we want to grow, and then we take them to 3x, 4x that revenue, and then they cancel. And we're like, whoa, what happened? Why are you canceling? They go, no, I'm losing more money, I didn't know, oh, you're losing more money because you don't know how to manage the revenue that's coming in. You actually don't know how to work with that revenue. What now? Now, I've had an entrepreneur once tell me, he's like, yo, Jay, but you can just always hire a CFO. Okay, cool. Well, Who's got 50, 60K lying around if you're bootstrapping your business? And that's when I made the point of every single business owner that's starting out needs to learn the core basics on how to manage the business, needs to focus on personal growth, and focus on how to get better at managing the business to the point where you can get profitable, to the point where you can afford a CFO or someone who's managing the finances and the operations of the business. Unless you have an investor lying around who's willing to throw money at the problem and go and hire it on your behalf. But most of us, I started this business in my bedroom with 20,000 Rand savings. So, and that's after buying, and that's after having sold one or two companies. But that's what I had left. Mistake here, mistake there, learn, buy a house here. And before I knew it, I had 20, 30 grand left in savings. And I was like, 2018, I need to start a business. So in theory, I had to go through all of these basic learning curves, if you will. And I think it's crucial that I talk about it, because as we've worked with over 500 businesses now, 500 founders, various industries, I've realized most of them don't know how to operate a business. So they are the business owner, but they don't know how to operate the business. And that's why they go backwards. So in theory, you need to understand what to do with the revenue. The revenue is going to come if you get it right, if you have a good marketing agency, if you're good at what you're doing. But what you do with that revenue is super crucial, because that will tie into the profit that you make. And that is why this is actually called operating margin. And that is why there's actually something called operating profit margin, because it means like how much profit is left after you've paid all the operating expenses. So the one missing piece to a small business owner going from 50K to 500,000 is realizing how to actually operate and run the business financially. And yes, you can go look at hire someone to do that for you, but not all of us are going to be that lucky. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is figuring out how to do the basics correctly. And what are those basics, really? And that's what we're going to dive into now. So the first thing you need to understand, if revenue comes in, you need to deduct what we call VAT, which is 15%. So yeah, you can write off some expenses to VAT, but what I've learned to do is just to put at least 12%, 10 to 12% away for VAT every time revenue comes in. And in fact, in our projections and most of the companies that I work at financially, I don't even include that in total revenue. I don't want to. Like, that's a bonus. I pretend like that extra 50% is not even part of the business. So for example, if I ask my team what the projections are for this month, or I look at the sheet that we've put together, I know it's without VAT. And that means that that's true money that I can actually use in the business. Because VAT is not really your money, that's SARS's money. So you have to put that away. So if you are hypothetically making 300K, you need to put away 45K roughly. That's a lot of money, but that's not yours. So put it away. Then what I do is, the second thing is, you essentially want to operate the business what you think will be left in terms of profit, because you ideally want to ensure that there's a little bit of profit left. Most business owners spend, and then keep profit at the end. There's a book called Profit First by Mike Mihalowicz, a really awesome book. I read that back in 2017, and it really changed the way I think about business. So if you say to yourself, like, listen, I want to just take 10% away and put it into a savings account for the business, like a rainy day. Like, that's smart, right? Because if an unexpected bill comes along, then essentially it's there and you can spend it and you can take care of that problem without having to stress or make a loan. So essentially you want to deduct some profit for yourself and put it away. Not spending money, but putting it away. That, my friends, is roughly 10% I'd suggest. So out of 300K, 10% would be 30K. So now you're already, as a total, 75K down. So that means you've only got 225,000 Rand left, if you think about it. Okay, all right, and this brings me to the third thing, which is tax. So tax is super crucial, because that is essentially you pay up to 28% now if you have a PTY on the profit that you took. So if you took 30% profit, then essentially you need to pay 28% on that 30K. And that becomes, let's say 28%. So that becomes roughly 8 grand. And now we're already in 82K. So this is now 82,000 Rand total that we have deducted from the 300,000. Okay, 82k needs to be deducted from 300k, and that's going to leave us with 218,000 rand. So essentially you've got 280,000 rand left, and now you can run the business with that. That's what you have. That's what you're allowed to spend now. But now you need to make a decision, right? You have to buy more stock as well. And stock is what we call cost of goods. So in essence, how much of this money are you going to put back into buying new stock? Because if you can't buy new stock, guess what? You can't sell anything else, and therefore you can't make more revenue. So it's either you take the revenue you have, pay your bills, and close your doors, or you reinvest money back into stock so you can keep growing. And usually if you want to grow, you're going to have to buy more stock than you did the last month. Okay? So if last month, if you bought, let's say hypothetically, 100,000 rands worth of stock, this month you might want to buy 130,000 rands worth of stock. So now we pay the stock, okay? And you have to have an understanding of budgeting and planning for this. So what is 218 minus 130? 88,000 rand. And that is essentially left what you have for operating expenses. So you've got 88,000 rand left for marketing, staff, warehouse, or picking and packing, whatever you want to call it, admin lady, I don't know, telephone, internet, etc. And then your own bills, just other bills, your own expenses as well, because you haven't really taken a salary yet. So you see now, after, imagine you had to pay 20 grand on marketing, another 30 grand for staff, now that's 50k, you know, let's just deduct another 60k. You've basically then got 28,000 rand left. And that's technically, you know, what you need to live on as a business owner, or reinvest, whatever you want to do. This is a bit of a backwards way of looking at it, but this is all the things we need to take into consideration when it comes to managing and operating the business, okay? It's understanding that all the revenue that you make is not just revenue that you can put back into the business, or buy stuff with, or experiment with, and do R&D with. Like, you have to be strategic. Guys, like, you need to understand, like, 15% of that revenue might not even, it's not even yours, right? It's SARS's. Then there's probably tax on that, okay? You can obviously remove this, then you've got an extra 75k to play with at the end of the day, if you think about it. But then you'll also be able to remove this. Now you've got an extra 82k essentially that you can work with. And then you can go, cool, as opposed to taking profit and putting it away for a rainy day and paying tax on it, I'd rather go and hire more people, or I'll buy more stock. But that's just the perspective that you need to be adapting for yourself if you really want to manage and grow a business. And if you start to learn how this works, you will quickly improve your knowledge, which means you'll quickly be able to improve your business. So as opposed to doing 50k a month or 80k a month, like that, it was supposed to be a 5, but now it looks like an 8, you'll be able to do 300. Or in that case, opposed to doing 300, if you keep improving, you'll be able to do 500,000. So it's really just surrounding yourself with people, mentors, learning as much as you can. And there's a couple of simple ways that you can go about it. And this is what I started doing in 2014. Podcasts, like, there are so many good business podcasts out there that you can listen to. And you just search for it on the podcast app. You know, listen to it when you're driving. The other thing is, another cool, very cool tool is Blinkist. Blinkist is basically just almost like it's a tool that allows you to get the main essence of a book, like the summary of a book. So you just look for the business books, you just look for how to operate a business and whatever, you know, your skill you require, and it will give you a bunch of summaries. I think I discovered the app in 2016, and I did 3 little summaries a day. It takes like 15 minutes. And what I did was, I did one on my way to work in the morning, and I did one at lunch, and I did one at night on my way back to work, on my way back home, or when I was, you know, falling asleep at night or whatever, before I fell asleep. So So that meant that I got 3 core summaries of 3 different books per day, times 21 working days equals, what is that, 63. So basically you go through 63 books a month, just by that little hack alone. And it gives you, not all of the stuff you're going to learn is you're going to apply, but it's just good to know. And at the same time, if you think about reading a book, like how often do you take all the information from the book? It's just key points, right? That's why Blinkist is so awesome. There's also ChatGPT. You can just upload a book onto ChatGPT and then ask it, hey, give me the summary. And then you can just liaise with it and chat with it and say, like, how do I do this? How do I go about this? Like, thanks to ChatGPT, you can improve your knowledge and skill base a lot quicker. And then the other thing is just mentorships. Like you really want to spend some money or time with people who are in the position that you aspire to be. Really, that's what it boils down to. And I made the mistake early on to just go to random people, like who look successful. The problem with that is that they're not in the same industry as you, so the information that you're going to get is not going to be contextual to you. I made the mistake of speaking to people who are billionaires while I'm still starting out. Like, that's also not great, because the advice that they're giving you is not always contextual to where you are. And the pain that they experienced when they were starting out is so far in their memory lane that they can't actually remember how they proceeded with that specific hurdle or challenge. So the best thing that you can do is to find someone in your industry or has experience within the industries that you're in and who have had some level of success. And then the best thing that you can do is make sure that they're not too far ahead. So if you're doing $1 million a month, you want to be speaking to someone who's doing 4 or 5 million a month or 10 million a month. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be speaking to someone who's doing 100 mil, but I'm just saying, like, there is more value sometimes in speaking to the person who's 5 steps ahead of you, because all of the pain points that you have, they've recently solved, and all of the solutions are still fresh in their mind that they can share with you. So I hope that makes sense. So the main point for today is just understanding that you can have all these things: product market fit, margins, distribution, a marketing strategy. But if you don't actually know how to use your revenue strategically and how to operate the business, which is the expenses part of it, in order to make a profit, you will most likely run backwards. So therefore, all of these things need to be taken into consideration. Is your VAT, is your cost of goods, is your actual operating expenses, the people that you hire, whether you're taking profit or not, the tax side of things. Like, I still speak to people who are like, oh, my tax bill's coming up and I didn't plan for it. I was like, what? Why do you mean you didn't plan for it? Like, why do you make the same mistake every single year? Like, come on. That's my biggest fear, is just to make the same mistakes over and over and have like a Groundhog Day scenario. Like, no, man. So I hope there was value in this video. Let me know if there was. I'd love to do more of it. And let me know in the comments what you would love to see as well, because then I can come and articulate that best I can and hope that it helps. Cool. Much love. Cheers.